Hello and welcome to another VectorTuts Quick Tip screencast. My name is Cheryl Graham and today I'm going to show you everything you always wanted to know about the Layers panel in Adobe Illustrator. You're probably familiar with the panel itself. It displays every layer in your document. On the left of the layer name and thumbnail is a triangle, sometimes called the flippy triangle or the disclosure triangle, which lets you see every element on each layer. The eyeballs on the left simply mean that the layer is visible. A lock icon next to an eyeball means that nothing can be selected or changed on that layer. A hollowed out eyeball icon means that this layer is viewed in outline mode. At the bottom you can see how many layers are in the document, pretty self-explanatory, and the trash can lets you delete a layer just by clicking on it, or you can drag the layer you want to get rid of to the trash can. This is the new layer icon. Next to it is the new sublayer icon. We'll get to that in a second. And lastly, this icon means that you can make or release a clipping mask that's on the layer. It really comes in handy if you can't find a clipping mask. You can just select everything on that layer and then click this icon to release it. The right side of the panel gives you some handy visual cues. A colored dot on the right of the layer means that something on this layer is selected. If everything on the layer is selected, the dot is larger and it has a black outline around it. A double ring means that the layer is targeted. That is, you can select everything on the layer and apply an appearance attribute to it. You can see that if a layer is targeted, everything on it is selected as well. If the inner circle is filled, that means that there is an appearance attribute applied to the entire layer. Here's an illustration that makes really good use of layers. In fact, there are 60 of them, and they are very well organized, using different highlight colors for different types of elements in the illustration. Highlight a layer and click the flyout menu on the right to bring up that layer's options. Here you can rename the layer, or change the highlight color to any one of the preset colors, or choose your own. You can choose whether to show or hide the layer, which is the same as clicking on or off the eyeball. You can choose to preview it, that is in outline mode or preview mode, and you can choose whether you want the layer to print. If a layer is non-printing, its name will be displayed in italics. You can also access the layer options just by double-clicking on a layer, and you can actually select more than one layer and double-click on those to bring up options for all of them. So, for example, I chose all of these orange ones and I'm changing them to dark blue. Let's say I want to just show this one layer. Now I could go and click on every single eyeball, all 59 of them, but it's much easier to go out to the flyout menu and choose Hide Others, and there you see there's just the one layer. Similarly, I can go back to the menu and Show All Layers. If I want to show one layer in outline mode, I can Command click or Control click on Windows on the eyeball, and that makes that one layer show up in outline mode. I can Command click on it again to get it on preview mode, or I can go out to the menu and choose Outline Others. So there you see the blue rivers are in preview mode and everything else is in outline mode. And then of course going back to the menu and choosing Preview All Layers. Now let's say I want to hide all the layers in this section. I could click on each eyeball, but that's tedious, so I can just hold down my mouse and drag to hide all of those layers and drag back up to show them again. I can hold down the Command or Control key and drag to make all those layers show up in outline mode, and again Command or Control drag to put them back into preview mode. Now let's look at the disclosure triangle. As you recall, the triangle flips down and that shows every element that's on a layer. So this type layer, for example, has one line of type there, and as you can see, the little square shows up on that sublayer to tell you that something is selected. This layer has lots and lots of sublayers, and they are all named according to what type of object they are, path or compound path, etc. I can select each element by clicking on the target circle. And let's say that I have one element selected in the illustration and I want to find it in the Layers panel. I can go over to the flyout menu and choose Locate Object, and that will show me exactly where that object is in the stacking order. If you want to move something from one layer to another, just grab the little dot on the Layers panel and drag it down to the other layer. This acts as a proxy for that object, so you don't have to copy and paste. Now let's talk about targeting. Click the circle on the right-hand side of the panel to target that layer. That means everything on the layer is selected, and I can apply an effect to the entire layer. You can see now that the circle has a gradient fill, which means that the layer has appearance attributes. And now if I draw another object on this layer, it will take on that same attribute. So for example, I'll draw a square here, and it too has the drop shadow. Okay, two last quick tricks. If you want to name a layer while you're creating it at the same time, hold down the Option key while clicking on the new layer icon. And if you want to create a layer beneath a layer, usually they're created on top of one another, hold down the Option and Command keys, or Alt and Control on a PC, and the new layer will appear beneath the one that's currently highlighted. There's even more that you can do with the Layers panel, but I hope that this has helped you decipher some of those little icons on the panel itself, and that you will now work more efficiently with layers.